Hey Vikings Nation, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into something that could quietly shape the entire future of this franchise. And trust me, this isn't getting enough attention yet. While everyone's focused on big names and flashy headlines, the Minnesota Vikings are working behind the scenes, building something strategic, something calculated, and maybe even something special. Because right now, the Vikings are hosting, meeting, and evaluating a long list of draft prospects ahead of the 2026 NFL Draft. These aren't just casual conversations. These are the famous top 30 visits, private workouts, and exclusive meetings that often reveal exactly where a team's mind is heading. And if you read between the lines, you start to see a pattern forming. So the big question is, what are the Vikings really planning? Are they targeting defense, reloading the offense, or setting up a surprise move nobody sees coming? Stick with me, because we're tracking every key visit, every name, and every hidden clue in these latest Minnesota Vikings news updates. Let's start in the trenches, because one name is already jumping off the page: Caden McDonald. This is not just another defensive tackle. This is one of the top prospects at his position in the entire draft class. At 6'2" and 326 pounds, he's a force in the middle, and the Vikings made sure to meet with him formally at the Combine. What stands out about McDonald isn't just his size. It's his awareness and explosiveness. Scouts describe him as quick to locate the ball, able to shed blocks, and constantly around the action. That's exactly the kind of disruptive interior presence the Vikings defense has been missing in key moments. And here's where it gets interesting. He's projected to be one of the first defensive tackles off the board. So if Minnesota is seriously evaluating him, it could mean they're willing to invest high draft capital into fixing that defensive interior once and for all. Now shifting to the secondary, the Vikings also showed interest in Treydan Stukes, a cornerback who turned heads with a blazing 4.33 in the 40-yard dash. Speed like that instantly grabs attention, but there's more to his game than just raw athleticism. Stukes is known for his communication in zone coverage and his ability to react quickly as plays develop. He may not have elite length, but he compensates with strong instincts and timing at the catch point, something that translates well at the next level. Projected as a late day 2 to early day 3 pick, he fits the mold of a developmental piece who could grow into a solid contributor. So let me ask you, do you think the Vikings should invest more in speed at corner, or focus on size and physicality? Now let's talk about a quieter name, Jacob Gill, wide receiver out of Iowa. This isn't a flashy pick, but it's the kind of move that teams make to build depth and competition in the receiver room. Gill's college production won't blow you away, but he's shown flashes of reliability and route-running ability. With 75 receptions over his college career, he's the type of player who could fight for a roster spot or land on the practice squad. And honestly, these are the moves that often go unnoticed but end up paying off long-term. Every roster needs those under-the-radar contributors. Another defensive back on the radar is Charles Demings, who impressed with a 4.41 40-yard dash. The Vikings didn't just watch him. They actively worked him out and met with him, which signals genuine interest. Demings brings solid ball skills and consistency in man coverage. He's the type of player who might not start immediately but can contribute on special teams and develop into a reliable CB4. And let's be real, depth in the secondary is everything in today's NFL. Injuries happen, matchups change, and having versatile corners is no longer optional. Now here's a fascinating name, Xavier Harris. At 6'8", this guy is an absolute giant on the defensive line. Even though he couldn't work out due to injury, the Vikings still made the effort to meet with him. That alone tells you something. Teams don't invest time in injured players unless they see real upside. And Harris brings exactly that: versatility, size, and untapped potential. He's been more effective as a run defender than a pass rusher. But that's something coaching can develop. The question is, are the Vikings willing to bet on upside here? Staying with Ole Miss, the Vikings are also evaluating offensive tackle Jaden Williams. This is more of a developmental project, but one that could pay off in the long run. Williams allowed 17 pressures on nearly 600 pass block snaps, which isn't perfect, but his overall grading suggests he has solid fundamentals to build on. He could become a valuable swing tackle. And let's not forget, Teams that build strong offensive line depth are the ones that survive deep into the season. Another name worth noting is Jacobian Guillory too, a defensive tackle who had dinner with the Vikings ahead of his pro day. That's a more personal setting, which often indicates deeper interest. Guillory's career numbers aren't eye-popping, but he's shown strength as a run defender. The biggest concern is his Achilles injury, which sidelined most of his recent season. Still, late-round picks are all about value and potential, and this could be a low-risk, high-reward situation. Now let's talk about a big name. Anthony Hill Jr. This is one of the top linebackers in the entire draft, and the Vikings are bringing him in for a top 30 visit. This is huge. Hill is being compared to elite-level players and is projected as a future Pro Bowl-caliber linebacker. He can do it all: stop the run, cover, and blitz. If the Vikings are seriously considering him, it could signal a major investment in upgrading the middle of their defense. Switching to offense, tight end Oscar Delp is another intriguing target. He's athletic, fast, and productive with a strong combination of size and speed. Running a 4.44 at his pro day at 6'5" is no joke. That's mismatch potential written all over it. And if the Vikings want to add another weapon to their offense, Delp could be a very interesting piece. Now here's a fun one: Raja Nelson. A smaller, versatile receiver described as a Swiss Army knife. He can do a bit of everything. With over 1,200 receiving yards in college, he brings flexibility and creativity to an offense. These are the players coordinators love to experiment with. Imagine how he could be used in motion, gadget plays, or special teams. Khalil Jacobs is another linebacker the Vikings met with, but he's flying under the radar. Not a big-name prospect, but someone who's shown solid run defense. These are the types of players that often become special team standouts and rotational contributors. And every successful team needs those guys. On the offensive line, Emmanuel Pregnan is a much bigger name. One of the top guards in the draft, he's being considered a late first-round talent. Even though the Vikings don't have an urgent need at guard, this could be about long-term planning or simply taking the best player available. And smart teams always think ahead. Alex Harkey is another lineman being evaluated, a versatile tackle who could serve as a backup across multiple positions. Again, depth, flexibility, and development. That's the theme we're seeing here. At running back, Russell Faison brings production and toughness. Over 2,300 rushing yards and strong receiving ability make him a well-rounded option. He's not expected to go early, but he could be a valuable late-round pickup. And sometimes, those are the backs that surprise everyone. Jalen Kilgore is a name rising fast. A safety who transitioned to corner, showing versatility and playmaking ability. 6 interceptions early in his career and strong defensive production make him a very intriguing prospect. And the fact that his stock is climbing, that's something to watch closely. Lance Mason at tight end and Damon Claiborne at running back round out the list of offensive skill players being evaluated. Claiborne, in particular, stands out with nearly 2,600 rushing yards and big play ability. Explosive, elusive, and dangerous in open space, he could be a sleeper pick. So what does all of this tell us, Vikings fans? It tells us that the Minnesota Vikings are casting a wide net. Defense, offense, trenches, skill positions, they're evaluating everything. But there's a clear emphasis on defensive improvement and versatility across the board. Now I want to hear from you. Based on these visits, what position should the Vikings prioritize in the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. And if you want more Minnesota Vikings news, deep breakdowns, and real fan-to-fan analysis, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with every Vikings fan you know. Let's keep building this community together.